Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. We are introduced to a man by the name of Park Dongwon in the opening scene. He is moving into a new building with his wife, Yong-yi, and their son, Suchin. Nevertheless, they discover that a vehicle is impeding their progress. It would appear that the car's owner is unwilling to exit and move. It irritated, Park over and over shouts to the proprietor until a man named young fellow Sue at last leaves and eliminates the vehicle. Parker tells the guy off for parking carelessly. However, Sue keeps her cool and insists that he did nothing wrong. Instead, he asserts that Park ought to accept an apology for disrupting his Sunday sleep. The family then gets to work moving their belongings into the building. Park spends this time getting to know his new neighbors. Miss O, a single mother, is one of them, and she works hard every day before going to work. Lee Sung-hoon, her son, takes her advice. Park and his family take a break in their new apartment after the moving process is finished to avoid speaking to strangers. When Suchin is playing with his marble the following morning, he makes some interesting observations to his parents. It appears that the marble always falls in the same direction. Park's curiosity is aroused by this, and he begins to wonder whether the floor or the is skewed. Park begins his day in the following scene by getting ready for work. But before he goes to the office, he decides to go to a nearby gym to sign up for a membership. However, when he learns that gym's trainer is none other than Sue, an arrogant man, his plans shift. The next day, Park arranges for a portrait of his family to be taken at a photo studio. He finds out that Monsu owns the shop, which surprises him. Monsu explains that the gym belongs to a friend and that photography is his true occupation. After the photo session, this Park clearly becomes irritated. An exquisite dinner is enjoyed by the family at a Park restaurant. Celebrates with a glass of wine that he has finally purchased an apartment. They unfortunately have to call a taxi because he becomes so drunk. Sue, a man, is the sole driver. A severe downpour that evening results in the formation of a crack in the building's glass. Monsu attempts to investigate after noticing it in the morning. However, as soon as he touches the correct door, it completely bursts open, prompting a neighbor to confront him about his carelessness. Park, on the other hand, notices that the floor has cracks from the rain. This concerns him, so explains the problem to the municipal council and urges them to make the necessary repairs. He is informed, however, by the council, that the repair can only proceed with the consent of all residents who are determined to address the issue. Park gathers all of the neighbors together for a conversation, but the situation unfortunately devolves into arguments over insignificant issues. The day after that, when Park's co-workers arrived at his new residence for a small gathering, they noticed Monsu covering the broken door with plastic. Additionally, he voiced his concern regarding the ground cracks. Men's verbal abuse of Usher's co-workers is ignored, however, by giving them a negative impression of the building Park. Inside, as the evening wears on, they continue to converse with one another over food and drinks. Two co-workers wave goodbye and then leave. However, Park asks the other two young men, Hume and Yoonju, to stay with him for the night because they are too drunk to drive. The following day, as Yong, Yi, and Sudian were making their way to the grocery store, they realized that they had left their shopping cart at home. They tried to call Park to get it, but he was asleep and didn't answer his phone. Young Yi requests her son to return home to retrieve the trolley as a result. Sung Hyun, on the other hand, has an important meeting to attend, so he leaves the house as quickly as possible. He takes a cab right away, but soon after, he realizes that he forgot his bag at Park's house, so he turns around. Contrarily, however, man commits suicide by knocking on each neighbor's door to inquire about running water. He does not get a response, which leads him to believe that no one is home. Sung-hoon, on the other hand, is at home. Man-soo then decides to go up to the roof to look at the water tank, in accordance with his mother's rule that he shouldn't talk to strangers. His son, in the interim, upon seeing him, Sung-tae, who is smoking there, quickly hidens. Man-soo alerts him to the fact that their apartment's water issue is unique when he observes an elderly man watering plants in the next building. A sinkhole beneath the building is revealed when the ground begins to shake suddenly. When the hole narrows, the sinkhole stops, eventually engulfing the entire structure. Sung-hyun, who is sitting in a taxi, lands on the building's roof after falling into the sinkhole. He instinctively presses the accelerator as the building continues to descend, causing the car to plumb. Park on the ground. Whoever happens to be on the same floor provides Sung-hyun with prompt assistance in escaping through the car window. They then rescue Yoonju, who is ensnared in the furniture and trapped there. Monsu, who had been trapped on the roof of the building, emerged moments later. Park begins his search for his son as the group gathers after he also falls into his floor. However, Mansi discloses that he observed Suchin in the elevator. He thinks the boy must have gotten away. However, Monsu is concerned about his son's safety. After that, the group rushes to his apartment and finds a pair of shoes missing. Because of this, they believe that Sunk is safe elsewhere. After that, they try to get help by climbing to the roof. But the sinkhole is so big that their phones can't pick up any signals, so shouting is just a waste of time. When they follow the sound, they find Shang Tae trapped beneath debris and immediately assist him in exiting the building. At that exact moment, they hear a voice pleading for assistance. The police and rescuers surround the sinkhole. The ground trembles as they attempt to descend into the sinkhole, forcing him to retreat. The police decide to evacuate all residents, including, as the situation worsens, and the mother of Sung-hoon. The trapped group starts rationing the food that is available and builds a fire elsewhere. The rescuers send a drone into the sinkhole the following morning. However, it loses control and crashes into the sinking building's roof. The trapped group is excited upon discovering it, anticipating that the device will record their presence. A portion of the building collapses simultaneously, tilting everyone's roof. Eun manages to hold on and maintain their position, with the exception of a few. With the assistance of Monsu and Park, you then take a daring risk by grabbing a wire and throwing it at Sung-hyun. After that, they were able to reattach some of the cut roof. However, the situation worsens when the wire snaps, causing Monsu to fall into the muddy pit and Shang Tae to plunge into the mud in an unsuccessful attempt to save his father. He also begins to sink. Park devises a clever strategy now that there is a short window of opportunity. He shatters the windows as he dashes to his bedroom. This allows the mud to enter the room, saving the lives of the father and son. In the midst of all of this, the drone unexpectedly receives a signal and emerges from the sinkhole. The rescuers are made aware of the presence by this. Inside, survivors. They came across that suit as they continued their investigation. When Sean entered the building, he was carrying a phone. They track its area and tragically, discover that the kid is as yet caught inside the next day. The rescuers try to persuade the people who live in the building next door to let them take down the pillars as a safety precaution. The building runs the risk of collapsing into the same sinkhole if the pillars are not destroyed. The residents initially refuse to comply, but an elderly man steps up and gives a touching speech, which eventually persuades everyone to look. I don't know who I am or where I am right now, but damn it, do it. I'm sorry. Mansu inside the sinkhole asserts that since he had thoroughly inspected all of the rooms prior to the incident, there is no one left in the building. The rescuers used small parachutes to drop essential supplies into the sinkhole a short while later. Food is included in the items. Park immediately picks up the satellite phone to dial his wife's number. He also has oxygen, batteries, flashlights, and water. However, before that, the phone begins to ring. The voices of the rescuers can be heard over the responses. On the other end, Park is urged to search by Yong-yi, who interrupts the conversation. Additionally, Suchin is concealed within one of the parked vehicles in the parking lot. With the intention of sending Park down into the elevator shaft, the group continues to secure a rope. The rescuers use a crane outside to get into the sinkhole. Park manages to reach the parking lot, but sadly, the group loses their grip on the rope and their operation is halted when the upper portion of the adjacent building collapses, completely obstructing access to the sinkhole inside. Additionally, as the rain falls, the parking lot's water level gradually rises. In the meantime, Sutian is yelling for help when he spots Sung-hoon emerging from a large pipe. The boy gets out of the car and goes after Sung-hoon. However, Lagos sustains an injury from falling debris when a substantial object blocks the path and parks. He perseveres despite the agony, determined to locate Sucha. The boy responds when he is called by his name. The father-son duo rejoice in happiness as Park finally rescues Sucha after following the sound. They observed holes in one of the ceilings and something else. It turns out to be Miss O, who saddens them by announcing that Sunghoon has died. Park asserts that they must flee at the same time that she observes the flooding water. However, Miss O insists that they leave her alone. Miss O cuts a lock of Sunghoon hair and gives it to Park, requesting that he deliver it to the boy's mother when they are rescued, even though she is certain that her frail body will not allow her to climb up before they part ways. Carrying his son on his back, he starts climbing the pipe after this. Park. He screams for his friends when they reach the cliff of the building. The trapped group responds immediately when they hear the calls. They somehow pulled the father-son duo up using their combined efforts. The group then heads toward the roof, where they discover shockingly that the sinkhole has been blocked. The fact that the water level is gradually covering the area makes matters even worse. They are realizing that they have very little time left. The gathering starts looking for bottles and different items that can act as buoyancy gadgets in the rising water. Soon after, Man-Soo discovers a substantial water tank that he identifies as the yellow submarine. Except for the Man-Soo, everyone quickly enters, who bravely decides to stay outside and puts his life in danger to keep the tank safe as water covers the area. The tank starts to rise to the surface. It does, however, become entangled in some wires at one point. Yoonju is aware of this and makes a strong argument, making the vessel so that everyone jumped into the tank and managed to separate themselves. Unfortunately, disaster strikes once more in a matter of seconds. The tank is impounded by a steel beam, allowing water to flow inside quickly. The group tries to push the steel beam with all of their might, but it doesn't work. Fortunately, the heroic man in the suit arrives with oxygen and contributes to the effort. He finally manages to free the steel beam by pulling on it from the outside. The young Hume then tries desperately to stop the water flow by inserting his hand into the hole. In the meantime, Man-Soo tries to hold onto the tank in the hope of ascending with it. He just doesn't see it. Fortunately, the tank's wires get tangled around his foot, which tethers them to the team's other members. They exhale with relief as the group reaches the surface. However, their joy is short-lived when they discover a new threat posed by a hole in the tank. Man-Soo jumps onto the tank and quickly opens the lid. In the interim, they are also noticed by the rescuers, who immediately send a crane to their aid. However, the group is finally saved after spending 48 hours in hell, immediately following these tragic events. Yang Yi's family is happy to be back together. Additionally, Park pays tribute to his deceased mother by presenting Sunghoon hair to her. I don't believe that would make me feel any better in any way. Soon after, Man and his family pay Sung a visit. And you have found a new home together in a trailer. They eat and drink delicious food near the river. They are terrified to death by a sudden, loud explosion nearby. However, it turns out to be a stunning fireworks display. Despite the obvious PTSD that they are all experiencing, this once more makes them smile. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.